Undercover boss saw Waitress chopping veggies at 3 a.m., then found out why he skipped college. The fluorescent kitchen lights flickered against the tiled walls, casting long, eerie shadows over the stainless steel counters. A lone figure worked tirelessly, her hands moving with practiced precision, chopping vegetables as if her life depended on it. The clock on the wall ticked past 3 in the morning, and the restaurant, which had once been alive with laughter and clinking cutlery, was now silent, except for the rhythmic thud of the knife against the board. An undercover boss, slipping through the back doors, watched from the shadows, astonished. He had come to see the inner workings of his business, expecting the usual tired faces and mundane complaints. But what he saw that night was something he could never have anticipated. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Kindness Thread, because the story you're about to witness will remind you why compassion can change lives. Her name was Emily, a young woman with soft brown eyes that carried the weight of sleepless nights and unspoken dreams. She had grown up in a small town where opportunities were scarce and hope seemed like a luxury reserved for others. College had always been her dream, a place where she could discover herself, explore her talents, and escape the limitations of her world. But life, as it often does, had other plans. The tuition fees alone had been insurmountable, and when her father fell seriously ill, the dream of higher education became a distant whisper. She had to work, not just any job, but jobs that demanded every ounce of her energy, her spirit, and sometimes her very identity. Emily's days began before the sun rose and ended long after it set. She balanced multiple shifts, cleaning, serving, sometimes delivering groceries late at night, always keeping her father's medication stocked, her little brother fed, and the bills paid. There were nights she would collapse onto her threadbare mattress, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of the world pressing down, and wonder if her sacrifices were ever truly enough. Yet, no matter how exhausted she was, she never complained. Her resilience was quiet but fierce, shaped by a life that had demanded courage before she was ready. On this particular night, the undercover boss, Michael, a man whose life seemed worlds apart from Emily's, had come to learn about his employees firsthand. He was a successful restaurateur, accustomed to luxury and privilege, yet increasingly troubled by the disconnect between himself and the staff who kept his empire running. He had donned the simple uniform, masked his identity, and watched the kitchen with keen eyes. The sight of Emily working alone at 3 a.m., sweat beading her forehead, hands moving with surgical precision, struck something deep within him. She was chopping vegetables, preparing ingredients, cleaning the counters, and yet every movement held a sense of grace and determination that transcended exhaustion. Curiosity and compassion mingled as he observed her. Why was she still here? Why wasn't she resting? It was then that he noticed the small stack of textbooks and notebooks tucked in the corner of the kitchen, pages filled with meticulous notes. Emily wasn't just working, she was learning, preparing herself for a future she had postponed but not abandoned. He couldn't help but feel a pang of admiration and guilt. In his world, it was easy to take shortcuts, to delegate hard work, to overlook the quiet struggles of those who truly deserved recognition. Emily's story began to unfold as he shadowed her in the coming days, watching her juggle shifts, personal responsibilities, and the constant pressure of life. She was the kind of person who greeted everyone with a smile, even when her stomach growled with hunger or her shoulders ached from hours on end. She treated the most difficult customers with patience, helped new staff members without a word of complaint, and somehow managed to keep the restaurant running smoothly despite her own hardships. Each night, she returned home to a small apartment that smelled faintly of disinfectant and hope, to care for her ailing father and younger brother. She did it all silently, invisibly, without expecting anyone to notice. Michael's perspective began to shift. He had come seeking efficiency, professionalism, and operational insight. But what he found was something much deeper: resilience, integrity, and unwavering kindness. One evening, after Emily had completed another grueling double shift, he finally approached her, revealing his identity. The shock on her face was immediate, eyes wide, a small gasp escaping her lips. She had no idea that the quiet observer in the shadows, the man who had silently judged and evaluated her performance, was actually the owner of the empire she served every day. Her story poured out in the hours that followed. College had been a dream deferred, her father's illness a responsibility that couldn't be ignored, her brother's needs a call to maturity she hadn't asked for but accepted with a sense of duty that was both heartbreaking and inspiring. Each challenge she recounted was met with a mixture of sorrow and pride. Sorrow for the life she had to sacrifice, pride for the strength she had cultivated in the process. Michael listened, unable to tear his eyes away, feeling a mixture of admiration, guilt, and an urgent desire to help. In that moment, he realized that success wasn't just about profit margins, customer satisfaction, or operational efficiency. True success, he thought, was about recognizing the humanity in the people who made it possible, about lifting them up when life weighed too heavily upon their shoulders. He made a decision that would change both their lives forever. With careful planning and a quiet humility, he arranged for Emily to return to college, covering her tuition and providing a stipend so she could focus on her studies without the crushing burden of debt. He created flexible shifts at the restaurant, ensuring she could still work and support her family without sacrificing her health or dreams. And more than that, he publicly recognized her contributions, praising her unwavering dedication and resilience, inspiring both employees and customers with her story. The transformation was profound. Emily walked into her first class at college, heart pounding with anticipation and nerves, feeling a sense of hope she had almost forgotten. Her father's health improved, her brother thrived, and the